We're still awake. I'm
Yes.
Grigoris Chatzikostas. I work for Food Scale Hub, and I'm here to initiate the discussion about green pockets. So, initiating the discussion, I would like to connect the dots of a previous event. A few weeks ago, we had the pleasure and the honor to host the Synergy Days event in Thessaloniki, and there we enjoyed a very inspiring talk from Augustus that was related to the addiction of startups to European funding and how more startups should look at the venture capital funding and, generally speaking, in other forms of finance. So let's take it from there. Today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some common myths, and we're going to try to burn these myths. I'm going to talk to you also about some uncomfortable truths that sometimes we don't like to hear, but it's good to use them to set up the stage. And let's see if in between the myths and the truths there are some business opportunities. So let's start to see how much money is on the table from the private investors. The world's broken food system costs $12.7 trillion per year. And now let me show you how much venture capital investment is globally. 26.9 billion, that was last year, and the best year in the decade, which is 2021, it was 53.2. 12 trillion, 29 billion. Technically speaking, if we were to rely only on venture capital finance, we will be trying to cure cancer with painkillers. And the needs and the necessities in front of us are much, much bigger. So let's try to see a little bit then some myths. A common myth is that there is no money in the sector because we don't understand the sector. The investors don't understand the sector. It's not like that at all. We have seen investments, we even have seen some IPOs in the sector in the United States, we have seen big acquiries. So that's really a myth. Another myth that goes around in the startups is that I want someone to write me a check. As long as I get the check written, as long as I get the funding, then the deal is over. No, it's not like that. So, let's start with some uncomfortable truths. If you look at the valuations today and the valuations a few years ago, you will realize that they're going down. And the news is that this will continue. And this will continue because valuations in the past few years, they were distorted. They were distorted by the constant availability of risk capital, of the constant availability of cheap money. They were distorted during the pandemic from, generally speaking, everything went digital and everybody wanted to invest in digital. But now, probably due to the world situation, probably due to the energy crisis, probably due to the wars here and there, we are going in a backward trend. Valuations are going to continue to fall. Does this mean that we should stop doing business? We should stop starting business? Not really. First of all, let's discuss about venture capital not being the only source of funding. Today, in the discussion, in the panel discussion, we're also going to talk a little bit about other sources of funding. I happen to also specialize in grants, in mini grants for startups, but I know that very good sources of funding are also corporate investors. Very good sources of funding is something that we tend to forget, but it's the most important. Bootstrapping, money from your own customers. So we have to look at the funding topic from a little bit more macro perspective. And when it comes to the venture capital of the future, the investors of the future will not be the guys who will write the check and then receive an email once every month to see how the company is going. The investor of the future would have to sit on the table together with the company, together with the startup, and help them grow. Opportunity. People might believe that when the things are going bad, it's time to sit and not to do new business endeavors. On the contrary, data shows that a downturn is an excellent time to start a new company. Why? Because you can be focused, you can go away from the raising craziness and mania, and you can focus on getting customers, on approaching customers, on building your product, on testing it. I use the example of the camel. In the past, they used to tell us that we're looking for the next unicorns. In 2014, the European Commission was telling us, start cascade funding programs to identify unicorns. That's not the case anymore. Now we're looking at other animals, which are real, by the way, the ones who can survive in periods of drought. They can survive when the money is not flowing in the air. They can survive and they can grow in the most of difficult times. And these are the startups of the future. Now another myth. As long as there is half a kilo of blockchain or 200 grams of AI, people will invest in it. That's very far from true. Also, people believe that as long as it works in tech, if it works in Silicon Valley, it works in agriculture. It works in food as well. Now, let me have some fun with you. This thing happened in 2017. That was one of the biggest disasters in the investment world. There was this company who promoted themselves as some kind of Nespresso machine for juices. It was a very expensive machine, $400. People invested lots and lots of millions. Some investors put millions of hard-earned money into that investment. And guess what happened? In a few months, the consumer realized that they could simply squeeze the bag and get the same result as if they would buy the 400 machine. Try to imagine the investor who was watching this video on YouTube, how they felt. That proves exactly how it feels when we're having a Silicon Valley mindset in the agri-food sector without the processing in between. Yes, also, is it only about the technology? We have the best robots. Nowadays, we participate as Food Scale Hub in European projects that they develop excellent robotic solutions. Only problem is that they cost a few hundreds of thousands of euros. And if we do not develop the right business models, if we do not develop those business models that will make them affordable to the farmers, we will not go far. Let's look at the vertical farming. It was very much on hype a few years ago. Then it turned out that many of the companies are either going bankrupt or they are massively downsizing. Why is that? There is a magical term that is called unit economics. And it's very simple. It's how much one unit costs and how much I can sell it. If the unit economics don't work, no matter how much capital you will raise, this will never take you anywhere. And this is what climate tech investors, we're talking about planet tech or climate tech today, this is what climate tech investors already have found out. That as long as the unit economics don't add up, you will not bother to invest. So, it's not the investors who don't understand the sector. It's probably the founders who don't understand basic economics. Another truth now. We're asking the topic about sustainability. Okay, I will not mention the example of Augustus, but still, the topic about sustainability, we're asking farmers to go green. And then I'm going back to unit economics. Can we ask that when their accounts are on red? It's also another problem that we have to tackle. And another uncomfortable truth, I know this is not politically very popular, so I will say it low. The food prices are going to go up in the future. Eh? You know that already. But this is good news for startups. It's excellent news for startups. Exactly because once the food is going to take the price it deserves, then the solutions will become affordable and needed. Nowadays, the vertical farming has to compete with some products that are not taking into account the externalities of production. As long as we incorporate the externalities, and as long as we incorporate the true environmental cost, have a look at that. These are costs from quantitative metrics. This, by the way, comes from Rockefeller Institute. The bigger costs of the food production is not the price you buy in the supermarket. It's the human health, the state, the government, the society pays for it. It's the environment, it's the biodiversity. It's a loan from the future of our children. And these are really the things that we need to take care of. So, rising food prices are opportunities for startups. This is the thing that investors should look upon, the new funding programs that we all want to design in the future should look upon, and this is the good news, although it's not politically a very popular message to pass. Going back to that, another animal, not unicorn, but zebra. Zebra is this animal that can take care both of financial success, but also social causes, environmental causes. And this is another type of startup that we need to promote. Let me go back to the vertical farming story. It turns out that these massive farms, or vertical farms, are not sustainable, are not profitable, but the small ones, the ones who are embedded locally in the supermarket, in the places that we are living, these are the ones that can really pay off. So going back to the unit economics, maybe small-scale, local sourcing are the pathways to that. It's okay to think big in entrepreneurship. We all think big. We all want to grow. We all want to scale up. But sometimes you have to take into account also the limits of economics, the limits of environment, and the limits of society. Let me make a few key takeaways because we have excellent panelists and we want to start the discussion. First of all, building products and testing them with real customers is more important than raising. Second, we have to focus on unit economics. Every investment proposal, either it comes to a venture capital fund, or it comes to a evaluator for a grant, or it comes to a government agency, or to a corporate investor, the unit economics is the thing that we have to take care of. We will continue to live in a world with low valuations. And even if we are aiming for impact, even if we are aiming for sustainability, we still have to deliver, we still have to perform. Companies are entities that are supposed at the end of the day to make profit. And last but not least, let's not look anymore for the unicorns, let's look for the zebras, let's look for the camels. I hope I gave some inspirations to the panelists so that we continue. Thank you very much.